The Biden administration recently restored three national monuments just ahead of Indigenous Peoples Day. They include the Northeast Canyons and Seamounts Marine National Monument, as well as Utah's Grand Staircase Escalante and Bears Ears. The White House said the move protects land sacred to Native Americans and preserves cultural and scientific wonders. William Brangham has our report.
Back in 2017, the Trump administration reduced the size of the Bears Ears National Monument by 85% and cut Grand Staircase Escalante's size in half. Both of those are in Utah. Those moves were supported by ranchers and Republicans who have long pushed to open the monuments for mining, development, and drilling. The Biden administration has been working for months to undo those moves and just announced them on Friday. Joining me now is Nick Martin. He's the editor of the Indigenous Affairs Desk at High Country News. He is also a member of the Saponi tribe in North Carolina. Nick Martin, great to have you on the NewsHour. As I mentioned, the Biden administration has been working on this for quite a while, but they announce it right up on the edge of Indigenous Peoples Day. Help us understand, is that timing significant or not?
I think it's more of a happy accident, let's call it. I think it's something that very clearly going into the Biden administration, I think tribal leaders had expressed in terms of our national goals of Indian country, kind of immediate needs of change. The Bears Ears reductions was a major one. And then there were, I think, obviously with Keystone XL kind of being the other, I think, major action point that we've seen so far. So, definitely on the part of tribal leaders, I know they would have loved to have seen it happen day one or two, but yeah, I do think everybody's quite happy the way it turned out, but also just in general, that happened on Indigenous Peoples Day. We'll call it a happy accident in the optimist version, and a wonderful public policy play on this latter.
For people who don't know what these locations are like and what these places are like, can you just give us a sense of what they are like physically and why they have particular resonance for Indigenous peoples?
Well, I think both in terms of what they hold many things. And so that can mean something as complex as spiritual importance, sacred sites that it hold a certain religious importance to the Pueblos, to the Ute, the Paiute, the Navajo, Hopi. Those are obviously going to be something that generates a lot of emotional connection point, and subsequently is going to be where you try to leverage your political power as well. But also, I mean, I had an opportunity to speak with former chairwoman of the Ute Mountain Ute tribe, Regina Lopez White Skunk, on Friday, and she broke it down even, I think, on simpler terms for me. This is where her grandmother grew up. This is where her grandmother was taken away from to go to boarding school. And when she escaped boarding school, she walked all the way back to the area around Bears Ears because that's where their ancestors had been for thousands of years. It's something as simple as a familial connection, but that familial connection is undergirded by thousands of years of ancestral connection to this place. So that can mean the bones of your grandmother and your ancestors. And it's also a place that holds lots of historical knowledge in terms of the petroglyphs and the way that these areas they show, I think, kind of that indigenous ingenuity that has persisted throughout time since we've been here for time immemorial. And it feels like something that protecting that was obviously always going to be a major priority for the tribal nations of that region.
As I mentioned before, the Trump administration undid what the Obama administration has done. Now the Biden administration has undone what the Trump administration did. Given that the tenuous nature of that, plus the long history of treaties being signed and then violated by the U.S., is today considered a victory, or is this still considered a sort of fleeting thing that could disappear in a few years' time?
I think both of those things. We can celebrate the fact that this was an administration recognizing and acting upon its nation-to-nation relationship it holds with the tribal nations of this region. At the same time, I think we can not, be cynical, but be realist in the sense that if a Republican takes the White House in 2024, then what effectively we've done is played a game of ping pong for 16 years. You want policies in place that will hold regardless of who's in office at a given time.
Virtually all the Republican leadership in Utah, from the governor on down through its congressional delegation, have condemned this move. What is it that they don't like about it, and do they have the power to undo this?
I think, and In the short term, no. It is something that this executive action that Biden took is going to hold through at least the end of this current term. The major reason for kind of upset is kind of as you said at the top of this segment, which is that this is an instance where you have folks who are a little bit more pro-development and very much would prefer to see the land put towards ranching, put towards mining and drilling and resource extraction and development, opposed to something more of this wider protection area that just creates a lot more kind of hurdles and boundaries for those things to be able to come to fruition. So in the short term, no, but obviously, again, if this is something that is just going to be an executive at the executive level and not the legislative level, then yes, I think within the next 6 to 8 years, you could actually see this just go back to the Trump era cuts.
All right, Nick Martin of High Country News, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.